All right, this is Euphoria. This is where we talk about European League of Legends. It's a really simple concept, but we mix it up sometimes. For instance, today, Martin Official Linger will be singing all of his analysis. He'll be doing it.
It is true.
Oh my God, you went with it. The key of D major, folks. That's the key of analysis. That's what you heard right there. I know very little about music. We're available on YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. You're listening to us on one of those three, but there's two others if you're interested. If you don't want to see our faces, or you do want to see our faces, that's kind of what it is.
It's true. Don't ever ask about Spotify.
Don't ask.
Oh.
We're really trying. We can't.
Don't know what happened to
Spotify. Struggle. We're figuring it out.
Someone told us at some point we would get it.
10 years from now, and it's not even a relevant platform, we will get Spotify. But until then, we're figuring it out. Bet update, we will be shaving the letters FNC into the side of our heads. We're going to be doing it in LA, in between the play-in stage and the group stage.
Don't tell
Wait,
our
does Martin
producers.
also doing that?
Yeah, Martin's also doing that.
But how? You have a lot of hair on the side of your head.
No,
like, he can do it.
Yeah, no, but Martin, we have an Martin's going to get it in the back, and I'm going to get it on the side.
He's got a lot more hair back there.
It's not
Just on the
fully
side.
decided yet.
We're going to talk to the barber. We're figuring it out.
The only problem
And
here...
you can't grow chest hair either.
Wait, you don't know that.
Chest hair.
No, I do, because I remember
true.
I've watched all of your episodes. I know that you struggle to grow hair on your face. I can only imagine it's even harder.
This is our guest.
This is definitely not what we need to be
This is
discussing.
Froskurinn. She's here in Europe. You probably saw her at the start. This is always the awkward thing is we do our intro, but there's also a person here. It's difficult. We're figuring it out. And just as an update, guys, a lot of you have been asking over the last few weeks, like, when's the next episode? What's going on? This is the last episode of Euphoria for the season. That doesn't mean that, Martin or Frosco or whoever might not make an appearance or might make an appearance on the dive. They're still free to do that. There still might be some European presence across the podcasts.
I feel like I would only do it if we always agreed to merge the two with the name.
So maybe an episode of Dive-phoria.
Dive-phoria, which was
coming.
very popular. I believe had like 1 million views or something. We could do that again.
I think 1 billion, really. It was an
Probably
absolute
close
banger.
to 1 billion, yeah.
And so as an update, we will be doing this next year. What it looks like, we're not entirely sure, but you will be getting a weekly podcast. And most likely, when we have a better idea of what's coming the next year, we'll do some off-season stuff, roster rumors, that kind of thing. The stuff that gets the people going.
Oh, yeah. I love roster rumors.
Some of them are so random. How many careers can get ruined by rumors that people just believe with no credible evidence? Ooh, we'll find out.
Someone on Twitter told someone that something is happening, so it must be true. I know Odanne definitely is not too happy with roster rumors.
We can talk about that one another time. But Frosco, you're here in Europe. We're so happy to have you on this podcast. But it's not just the podcast that you're here for. You want to do it? You want me to do it? You want
I thought we were going to... What is happening right here?
How you doing?
I'm trying to play shocked.
Oh, shocked face? I'm going to be joining the EULCS broadcast in 2019.
I don't know what this sounds like on the mic. I'm so sorry if this is abrasive, but yes.
Yes.
Oh, God. Well, I'm excited about this. We've known for a little bit. We finally got you over here after all the LPL playoffs have come through. But I think there's going to be a lot of people wondering how and why that Chinese fangirl is now becoming, correct me if I'm wrong, that European fangirl.
I did lock down the Reddit name. I do have it now. You will see me on Reddit. It's that European fangirl if you'd like to tag me.
Yes.
That's
Interesting. I can't get rid of my name. I have to make a new account, but I don't want to make a new account. I still have
Are you
Riot
just
in front
Riot
of mine.
Officio? I know
Yeah,
mine's
I'm
so
Riot
awkward. If
Officio.
I want to comment in any other Reddit thread, I'm Riot Draco. So I'm like, this is just weird anywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so good when they don't know, because then you just like respond to a question like with in-depth information, like how the oh, excuse me, can I curse?
Figure it out. Yeah, I mean, we just censor it
Just
later.
never pause after, because when it gets muted out, it sounds weird. If it
Because
goes
it's literally like
la la la, oh my God, what did I just do? And then people are like, what happened there? So just keep going.
I probably should have asked beforehand like what the
we should have figured it out. But
nice briefing host.
I miss the beep sounds we used to have.
people, yeah.
You guys
yeah,
should actually get a
beep.
soundboard. I actually think that there's a huge missing avenue where we don't have soundboard access on Analyst Desk or
That's why you're here.
CAS.
You're a thinker.
Yeah.
We
But
need soundboard access.
before we go back to your announcement, which is the important thing here,
Yes.
we actually did, for a moment during the spring split when we had the beep sounds, we were discussing using player sounds instead, and we took the sing laugh, and we wanted to use the sing laugh every time someone would say, the F word, but it would just be super weird. Then we had a duck sound as well for a moment, but ended up just being...
Was that it?
Just cut it out. Yeah, it was. I kind of missed the casino.
I want the hip hop air horn for caster desk. I'm sorry, this is the worst announcement of all time. We're
It
so
is.
derailed, but I do
Let's
need
try again.
Riot Games, please give me a hip hop like blah, 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 for when I'm casting so Martin can hit it when we get really hype in a team fight. That's all I asked for. But the other thing we asked for was Froskurinn to come join us on the EULCS. We're so excited to have you here. But like I said, people are going to want to know why. So why don't you walk us through like why Europe, why now? What motivated this kind of decision?
So I started my casting career actually in Europe when I was doing Go for LOL. The time zone simply was just better, and so I did the European scene for a long time. So I've actually have been around casting a lot of the challenger players who have now become pro players for a good portion. I would wake up really early in the morning, cast European Go for LOLs, and then I would go into work and come back. My analyst and my coaching background before I became a shoutcaster was also in the European scene. I used to coach Dignitas EU, which then promoted and became Splice. So I got to work with the Splice boys, which now have scattered across the EULCS, which is actually really cool. So shout outs to Wonder, Kabi, and Senkuts.
Can you give us
the Danish boys?
Yeah, the Danish boys. Which
Oh
makes
my
Martin
goodness.
happy. Can you give us like a fun fact, like a world's? Let's say Wonder. Do you have a world's fun fact for Wonder that people might not know?
This is what I used to do. I was only head coach for them, so I was their analyst, and then I was only head coach for them for a short period when we were transitioning coaches. We went undefeated during the time that I was head coach.
They didn't play a game.
It was fine. But what I would do is they were really, really young at the time. And so there'd be some, infighting and like the Vint stuff. And I'd pull them into side channels and I'd have like sync hooks. And
Keep in mind,
like,
this one person goes, this is all team speak.
This is all
like,
team
she's
speak.
she's just
sitting
pulling
in
him aside.
America.
She's not
Yeah.
like pulling him out of the
You're
room.
in
She's pulling him
America.
into a different team speak lobby to go.
and I pull in, it's 100% true. You can ask them, they will confirm this. And I'd be like, Senkuks, I know it's difficult right now, but you just have to be aware that you're the best player. So I need you to step up because you have to be the carrier. You're the mid laner, you have the biggest champion pool. And he'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know, Frosk, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, I expect more from you. And then I'd send him away, and then I'd pull in Wonder and be like, Wonder, you're the carry of the team.
You're the star here.
You need to be the one to step up.
Is this the plot of House of Cards like season 5? It's just like the coach that just tells every player they're the best, and eventually they talk to each other and they're like, wait, she told me I was the best. Like,
And that's how they're now scattered across the,
Yeah, that's smart, man. The short-term value right there is great. The long-term might be an issue.
I mean, when you only need them to qualify for EULCS,
Yeah.
short term is probably
got
an
it
okay
over the
way
finish
around.
line. It was fine. So
Worked out.
Because, you worked with the team when they played and qualified. And then after they qualified, you became full-time caster.
right before they were about to go into their qualifications, I got the call to become a shoutcaster. And so I left them. So I wasn't with them as they promoted in, but leading up to it. And then I also helped find the replacement that helped qualify them, which was Raz from the LPL.
Cool.
So basically, all the history of Frosk coming from the LPL was a lie. You were actually always from Europe.
I always say that my favorite team was always Moscow 5. When I first saw Moscow 5 come onto the international scene and they were playing that super crazy style where, the support was roaming around with the jungler and then they would play heavy roam mid laners and like appear in the enemy jungle and just attack quickly. I was like, I wish every team played really aggressive and fast paced. And people were like, do we have a region for you? So technically Moscow 5 was just the gateway drug into the LPL. And now we've come full circle.
We've gotten rid of them. They're no longer in the EULCS.
Hey, but Gambit at Worlds.
At Worlds, baby.
Great Plains group as well.
Diamond Prox. PvP Steos. Kira, Edward.
There's been some changes.
Yeah, but when I got to cast, I can't even remember how I got to cast Alex Ish, but I did get to cast and host a show with him at one point. It was a very surreal moment because obviously in the LPL, we see the professional players sometimes when we're getting makeup, but I can't talk to them. There's a huge language barrier. And I just remember like sitting in a room with Alex and I was like, oh my God, you have no idea, but you have been my favorite player for so long. It's totally fine.
I got a little fun fact here. I'm 95% sure this is true, but I could be slightly wrong. When Alex Ish got rank 1 for the first time on the EU server, he did it by killing me about 7 times in the mid lane. And while I was getting hard flamed, he announced to the world that he was getting rank 1. This might have been his first time or his second time, but I remember at least him getting rank 1 by killing me.
What you need to understand here is that all great things, in one way or another, come from Deficio. Because would you really have loved Alex Each as much as if he wasn't rank 1? And would he have gotten rank 1 if there wasn't a mediocre mid laner going toe-to-toe,
I think it's
running it down for 7 kills? It's Deficio we have to be thanking.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
I've
you.
heard your prep is like pretty intense, but like sacrificing yourself out of office hours like that.
It's what I do. It's many years
sees
ago.
the future.
I knew we needed Alex to be the #1 player in Europe in order for him and Moscow 5 to succeed back then, to then make you interested in Moscow 5, to then get interested in China, to then cast China, but realize that you had to return back to Europe.
I'm actually a double agent now.
It's all there, you know.
Cool.
It's like it actually could be a movie. I think people would criticize the plot a little bit, and there would be some issues.
I don't know if there'd be a really interesting B plot.
Why is Martin Fisher Longer the producer, the executive producer, and the main star of the movie? What's going on here?
I think that's how great movies are made.
Hey, look, I'm all about it. Of course, if you guys want more context, you know, about like Froskurinn coming to Europe, I think there's going to be a Twitlonger / a Medium post.
I can actually hit this out of the park if you actually need me to.
Yeah,
like,
you want to just like
this.
give them the.
So the down low is that it wasn't a decision that was made lightly. We've been in talks for in a long time. I actually think if you go back to an interview that I did in 2014, I also talked about like dream would be to join the European broadcast. I have a ton of friends over in this broadcast. Daniel, I've known you for years before we became shotcasters.
Life, folks.
I cast initially in the LPL with Pyrotechnics, so from like holistically speaking, I have a lot of friends over in Europe, and it just is it's a broadcast with resources and tools and a lot of creativity, and just what you guys have kind of redone with bring on EUphoria and how you change up your analyst desk. Super exciting from that perspective.
The set did.
We did good. Thanks.
I feel a little bit sad when you mentioned Dracos and Pyro as your friends, and I was just sitting in the middle. But now I'm happy because the set got brought in, so it's okay.
If someone comes to you and is just like, I will give you the opportunity to work with Deficio, Quickshot, and Shocks. I mean, nothing against, you know, Dash, Jat, and I'm trying to think of the equivalent over there. Let's say Freak.
Kobe. Oh, no, you're looking for play-by-play.
Yeah, or, you know what I mean? Like, you guys are the best in your positions, or one of the best in your positions. And so
I love you
on
even
that list,
more.
but I'm going to raise my hands and try them anyway.
You didn't get Vedius and Dracos in there, so I appreciate it. You know, we got to keep Vedius down a little bit.
Vedius uncontrollable
I wound
ego.
him up so badly yesterday.
God.
It was fun to watch.
The thing is, call him Shreddius, and he will be so proud.
He does look quite. He's kind of like a wombat. They just get more dense.
Yeah, that's what he was aiming for.
Thank you for the context, Frosk. This episode is, of course, not just about Froskurinn joining the EULCS, but it's also about Worlds. Now, the dive already
I thought we were done.
No, that's it. 12 minutes.
Yeah, goodbye.
See ya. That was the last one, episode 13. Unlucky.
It's for 13 minutes.
Nice.
And we spent 12.
Judging your day rate there, Trevor.
Yeah, I have a timer. It's almost 13 minutes exactly. If we just BS for 20 more seconds, we can get out of here quick. So group draw reaction. Dive already kind of talked about the groups overall, so we're going to be doing a few different things today. We have a game. We'll do our own little group draw reaction talk, share our opinions, our unique, original opinions.
Are we calling him Papa Smithy as well, so we get, you know...
To be fair, though, before we get into this, I just, like, disclaimer, my flight got canceled, and I didn't sleep for 24 hours, and then I immediately flew. I think I got here.
Yeah, so the original plan was have you announce at the end of the episode, but we think you might be catatonic and passed out on the table by the end of the episode.
If you see the camera move just to me and Dracos, you know why.
That's all I wanted to say. If it just you see my brain like freeze over, that's what happened. I've finally actually just stroked out and have collapsed.
Euphoria.
I mean, I'd like to join in on that potential excuse. I had a 40-minute flight. It was pretty long. I was in the middle row of an EasyJet flight.
Oh, of an EasyJet flight?
And I had to put my bag in between my legs because there's no room.
Everyone says
at the top. So
EasyJet are bad, but I actually had a lovely experience flying with them.
It's just they're always sold out. They're always sold out.
Yeah,
and that's it.
You get what you pay for. It's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. You get a flight. You get nothing else, but you get a flight.
It's true, but again, you know, 40 minutes is a lot, so my brain might not be 100% up to speed.
Okay.
So I'm with you there, Frost.
Excuses.
I'm a bit jet lagged.
Classic. We're going to talk about excuses later as well, but the first thing I want to do, I want to play a game. We've been BSing for 14 minutes, so of course this is the perfect time to play a game. Could have thought about this more ahead of time, maybe. All right, so there is a name for this game, but I don't know what it is. But basically, I'm going to show this to you guys look away. I have all 12 of the currently qualified groups teams written on a sheet of paper. We'll get a graphic beforehand showing you what group it is too, because I'm going to guess that you guys can't read from that distance, which is fine. I'm going to give one of these slips to someone. They're going to put it on their head. And then the other person, or other two people rather, have to give them clues that cannot include region, cannot include player names, cannot include placement, so you couldn't say second, third, first seed, etc., stuff like that, to try to guess which of the 12 teams it is.
So you're not going to say anything about region. Like, I can't say, like, terrible NA team. That's not...
No,
so just terrible.
But you could
team.
say huge disappointment.
Right.
You could say never make it out of groups.
Forever fourth.
Yeah,
Forever fourth would be fine for team.
Because so it's funny, we played this game now. I didn't know we were going to do it. I watched Inglourious Basterds yesterday.
Oh,
And the scene in the basement,
you mean Glorious Quack?
and Glorious Kissing Laugh, they have to put the cards on the head as well, and then they play with the
Is
guy
that when
there.
he gets caught for doing this or
if he
doing
does
Yeah, when he
this?
says three
Yeah.
with his fingers the
Instead
wrong
of
way,
the-
not the German way.
That's everyone when they come to Germany. It's their first fun fact that they revealed. that they
There you
know.
go. So I'm actually really, because I love that scene, and now we are playing the same game. Like, it's pretty crazy.
And if you lose, I'll shoot you.
You shoot me.
There you go.
There you go. Fine. That's okay. I'm in. I'm
Just
all
like
in.
the movie. All right. I'm going to shuffle these up.
Yeah.
Frosco, you're new here, so we'll let you go first.
So I have to put it on my forehead?
Yeah, so please
Just
don't
hold
look
it,
down,
you know.
because
Oh,
these
okay,
are
I
printed
got
on the
just
thinnest
hold it.
sheet of white
It's
paper.
a piece of paper. I'll be okay.
All right.
Just give her something.
I don't know. I can see what they are, and it's ruining it.
And
All
I
right.
have to guess.
I can't see anything.
Wait, no, you guys can see. I'm about to show
Yeah,
you.
she's about to show us
Oh,
what
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
All right, put that on your head. Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm already going to guess it's a Vietnamese team if you just said, oh no.
You're right!
That's insane. You're so good at this game.
It's Fong Boo
It's
Buffalo.
also an animal.
Also, apologies to the team. There's an accent above the U. I could not find out how to get it in on word processor, so it's just not there. And I know
Great
it's a
game, though.
misspelling.
Frost 1-0. You're fantastic.
Why would
at
they
this.
ever say, oh no?
I don't know why, but it's an animal. There you go.
That would have been fine.
You got it.
Do I get the record?
Plays fast.
You
and
won.
fun.
All right.
Okay,
Martin, you're
here you
next.
go.
You can,
All
no,
right.
you can hold on to it. We'll count
Can
that
I?
as
Can
you.
I get the same? It's yours. It's a
Oh.
souvenir now.
This is now my point.
Yeah. I don't know if it.
Thing is, I feel
Can we
this is-
lose?
This
in
is going to
game?
be another 1907 Fenerbahce.
I think you just say PVB and
Oh,
then
I
you're
think
fine.
you just say the Buffaloes.
Or-
Can we say the
I think you
Buffaloes?
just say PVB.
Why not?
I don't know.
We've
mean,
been
they're called Buffalo.
after 1907 Fenerbahce. I think we realized is a broadcast. Sorry, not 1907 Fenerbahce
It's
Esports.
1907
What, it's
Fenerbahce
what,
Esports.
1906 Fenerbahce?
No, not that. We're not mocking them. I'm just saying we've learned.
1907
But
Fenerbahce.
that was like the only payoff that we had to repeat for that, is that you finally then got to say the 06.
They Fenerbahced it. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah, I
time.
guess that's the only thing. All right, let's go. Give me something.
All right, you put this on your head. Frost, you always get to go first because I thought I got to cut these out and
The
think about each
smile
and one of them.
He's really good.
Is it an NA team when you're
is
smiling?
oh no, how do I want to say this? I want to make like a breakfast pun. Can you not clue into why?
Oh, okay. Yeah. You want to go that way? I think there's the freebie one though.
What's the freebie one?
Oh, I don't want to say the freebie because you'll get it.
No.
Just say something.
Wait, okay, no. Then I'll give you my obscure abstract one to try to make this difficult. How do I want to say it? Canadian syrup?
Ooh.
So the first thing I think about is Mabel, and that's really easy then,
Yeah.
because that would be Flash Wolves.
Hey! Mine was just going to be top heavy, and I think you immediately would have got it.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
would
mean,
you have
I
gotten
thought
over
about a top
top heavy?
laner then, but
I think you shouldn't have said syrup. I feel like syrup was too easy.
Why?
Well,
You
It
just
said
said you just say
breakfast.
waffles, pancakes.
the moment you said breakfast, my brain was like team breakfast.
I would just be like-
breakfast, player breakfast.
The McDonald's McGriddle
Because we used to have a play
is
called
filled
Pancake.
with what? And you go maple syrup. I really like breakfast sandwiches. It's something I don't get as much in Europe.
Impressive.
All right.
I would have said anime,
Oh, that's good.
because I learned from Jesses and
All right, it was originally
Hansama.
going to be you two, but I want to help you.
But you know the
Wait, you have to
names.
share the camera.
We're going to make sure, whoever has to edit this in post-production, that they put some kind of lower third there because there's
I'm-
no way anyone can read this.
You want to go first?
Tough draw.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know what it is, but only because we've had a behind-the-scenes conversation. Do you have any other creative hints?
Baseball.
Oh, 100 Thieves.
A streetwear.
There you go.
What is it? COD or is it Halo?
I would be COD.
COD.
Yeah, because it's 100
That's
Thieves.
Nate's shot.
It's upside down, too. Thanks, guys.
Well, I
100,
guess
100 Thieves. This game
so
is...
far this game is really easy.
Well, I mean, the thing is there's only 12 teams.
It's true. All right, we got to be more
I was
creative.
originally going to play it with Worlds
Wait, is
excuses,
it my turn again?
but after a
Yeah,
test
yeah.
run, I found out that it's really hard. Because literally, the only one that's easy is sandbagging, because you just say China 2015.
All right, so that's a good one. It's a good one.
Ooh.
StarCraft.
And well, then I would assume it'd be a Korean team.
What? How does that make any sense?
Well, think about it.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about, dude.
Think about a name.
I don't know anything.
Jeez.
Okay.
I know Zerg Rush in StarCraft, and that's about it.
Okay, so that for the first time, the first clue didn't actually reveal it.
I want you to think about Terran.
Okay, I've played StarCraft. Oh, this is how this went. They loaded it up. They're like, you're going to love this game. It's going to make you a hardcore gamer. And then I just spent like 40 hours playing the one where you're on like the ice and you're like the little Zerg and you have to like move them through the obstacle course.
All right, we'll move away from StarCraft then if that's not revealing anything.
Yeah, let's Ooh. The only person that can match you in terms of flamboyant dress shirts.
Yamato Cannon. It's
that
Vitality.
Was so obvious.
Really? You feel like yeah.
That was like, which are the coach or player could
it's
that
not even
be?
close. You're right. That sucked. I ruined
What's
it.
StarCraft?
Yamato Cannon
is the ability on the battle cruiser in StarCraft.
The first time he was on the analyst
Also,
desk
shout
for
out to
Worlds.
whoever comes out of the woodwork to get really upset that she didn't know that. Because someone will come in, how do you not know that? It's the best esports game of all time. How could you not know every ability name?
Did you not hear Yamato when he was like trying to do like voiceovers from StarCraft when he was on the analyst
Emperor of
desk?
Shurima.
He could do that too.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god. That man's a poison.
All right.
He's
For the
butter.
first time, the
Yamato
first
should be
clue
our beep
didn't actually
sound.
get it.
All right, well, good. We're good. All right.
Let's do one more each, I guess.
Yeah, there's just too many teams. We could do speed round.
I would like a Chinese team at some point.
I mean, I'm
we
not
don't know.
Picking. Put this on you. There you go. Oh, I got. You want to go first?
How hard do we want? I feel
speed.
like
We'll just
speed run it. Monte Cristo.
I mean, it's KT.
Boom. Got him.
Man, we know too many things.
I know. We're gonna speed run it.
Sounds like an fruit drink.
Sounds like a fruit drink.
Like a
10-man
Fanta.
roster.
Oh, Africa.
Africa.
Dude, that one's tough.
No, it's not.
Wait, 10-man roster? You instantly got it, man? Someone else must be using a 10-man roster.
No.
What?
You got
At
it.
Worlds? Who else is using a 10-man roster at Worlds?
I just feel like someone else must have tried to utilize a 10-man roster.
Did Frosco go?
Well,
again?
I've
No.
already seen it because
Well,
you
now,
threw it
okay,
for the
you
light.
go. You go. You just hold this.
I
on
go.
Hold it on your brain.
NA's only hope. Oh, I said NA. Damn
Oh,
it.
you did.
Forever fourth.
I would have said.
Hundred
I would have said if you
Thieves.
can't beat them, buy them. That would have been my. That would have been my.
Golden clue. Am I getting close here? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you used to be on this team.
I hold
as
on to
well.
if you can't beat them, buy them. I
All
think
right,
that's
I
the
like
best
that
hint.
one. I'm gonna say Team Liquid.
Hey, you're right. All right, Frosco, this one's for you.
I don't know if that's true now that I think about the statement NA's only hope. Statistically, it's not. It must be a Chinese team.
Yes. Let's know.
Ooh, Hex Tech Jace. Dang, oh, it's so hard to speedrun now.
Yeah. Not happy.
Mad. LMS team.
Hey, come on.
That's some loose hinting there, Martin. All right, Martin again.
Wait, this is.
Are we speedrunning it still?
I
Yeah.
mean, you have to
Yeah.
at this point. We
Okay,
gotta finish this dumb game. Don't say a region.
No, it's fine.
The only fans as scary as TSM.
The what, sorry?
The only fan base as scary as TSM.
So it's Fnatic.
Yep.
I think this says a lot more about you guys than it does about the teams. Probably gonna crash and burn. .A award.
Invictus Gaming or another Chinese team.
Well, Invictus was a good first guess, I guess.
All right, Frosco. I think there's only Chinese teams remaining.
Yay!
Oh, interesting.
All right.
Interesting. One of the worst names.
Edward Gaming.
Oh, 12 teams in
Nice
groups.
flame
What?
right there.
What?
You see already?
All right, process
You've seen
elimination.
it already.
Process elimination.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess here. Team who should not have made Worlds.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a team who should
Pig
not.
Farmer.
Really? You think Gen G has the worst name?
I said one of the worst.
Okay.
Wait, I thought we had EDG left.
No, they're playing.
Play-ins.
Oh,
Team that shot- when you said a team that couldn't make Worlds, I thought you were hard trolling.
I'd already seen it. No,
Yeah,
for
they
some reason I
suck.
thought EDG because you said EDG. I was like, oh yeah, must be EDG left.
Well, everyone always bitches about their name. They're named after their owner. I'm so sorry, Edward.
But Gen G is not a great name.
I just think GG is pretty cool. I don't know.
You could
I
just
don't
been
know.
called GG
Look,
then.
this was pretty loose. Let's talk about League of Legends.
Yeah, we needed more teams for this one. But again, I mean, we
got some classic moments where we just clearly gave it away or cheated. Good ethics there, team.
Yeah, when you just looked at yours, that was unfair.
I didn't. I thought you guys had already said that I had gotten it.
No.
Well, there's miscommunication.
EDG's not even at World. Oh, group
You
stages
both
yet.
thought like 3 different teams were EDG.
Because we got confused.
They've gone to 5 consecutive world championships.
It's true.
I know because I wrote that intro and then Pastry Time got through. That's something I'm salty. Pastry Time did a good job, but we were supposed to record it and then I sent my voice recordings and then they got denied.
Look, I recorded all of them along Shox. We recorded the same exact thing and they picked Shox VO. I'm almost 100% sure it's because more people care about Shox and she probably did a better job of recording, but I'm also a little upset, you know? They should have put an inferior product on to make me feel better. That's how I feel about it.
That's why you do play-ins,
you.
right? So we put you on.
Can't say that. It's part of Worlds.
No, I mean you, not the part of it that we actually put you on that.
Ah, yes.
No, I look forward to play-ins.
Plans is hype.
But I guess we got a double flame in there, but it was actually supposed to just be on you.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to be talking about main group stage groups.
Main group stage groups.
What is it actually called? There was this
I just like how you tried to like.
main stage.
You got mad at him for thinking that he insinuated something about play-ins, and you just did it yourself.
I know. All right, let's talk about main
I'm the
stage.
host. I'm allowed to be a hypocrite. All right, so there's a reminder for everyone. Group A is Flash Wolves, Afrika?
What we should do
Afrika.
is I think instead of listing all the groups, if we're going to talk group by group, just list it then. Because if you list it all now, I'm going to forget.
Well, he tried to right now. You interrupted.
Yeah, I don't
him.
want to go group by group because that's what the dive did. People already watched the dive, maybe.
So are you just going to take like first impressions?
So I'm just gonna run through as a reminder for our audience, and then we will talk about it.
Also, we want bold predictions.
Oh, we're gonna do that right after this.
Oh,
And
yeah.
talk about EU's hope at Worlds.
Oh.
We're hopeful. It's a good year.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen worse.
Flash Wolves, Afrika Freaks, Fongvu Buffalo, or PVB. I think we'll probably butcher the pronunciation there. Apologies. Group B is RNG, Genji, and Team Vitality. Group C is KT Rolster, Mad Team, and Team Liquid. And Group D is Fnatic, 100 Thieves, and Invictus Gaming. First off the bat, the dive called Group B, the Group of Death. I don't think anyone here is going to disagree with that. That is the Group of Murder.
I mean, what's it's from the perspective then of the Western team, so Team Vitality right now?
I think the Group of Death, I'm always...
Or
what
I
is
guess
the
Cloud9
actual
could fall
definition?
Cloud9 will get in that group if everything goes as planned in play.
But here's the thing. There's always that caveat. You say it's the group of death because the idea is that you have no chance of getting out of it. But if you have really competitive teams across the board, then it's very likely that it's going to come down to tiebreakers or that someone will take games off of each other. I mean, theoretically, doesn't that mean that you have more of a chance of getting out? Because haven't we released the time frames? Like, do people know what the format looks like?
But it's just
Yeah.
8 days.
Yeah, just the 8 days as opposed to having week 2, which I think is
Yeah.
a huge benefit, and also then throws a wrench into all of that because it's less time for teams to go back internally, scrim, figure it out, prepare, and move forward. So a team like Vitality could be a sucker punch.
I mean, I agree. I also think it's worth highlighting that the world champions lost to 1907 Fenerbahce in groups last year. And Samsung almost didn't make it out. G2 were actually ahead in that game and were like winning. And if you had beaten them in that last game, they would have knocked them out because they also lost to 1907 Fenerbahce, and we wouldn't have Samsung as a world champion. So when people look at this group, the fact that people are already saying it's 100% RNG and Genji, well, we kind of said the same thing. I wanted to say the same thing last year, and then suddenly you get a team like Samsung losing these games. It is best of one. It is so difficult. One, in terms of prep, because are you going to go back and watch like 50 Vitality games?
Yeah, like who
it's
are
not
you
even
gonna
50
prep
games
for?
in the ELCS, man. You
got
can't even
Best
do
of
that.
one. What are you going to research?
You got Genji and RNG in your group. You have to think that teams only have a limited amount of time. They're going to prep for one of those 2 teams, and I don't think that...
I mean, most teams going into Worlds will actually focus just on themselves. I mean, like, this is what we need to do. This is how we're going to play the game. And then Kiki's Flash Bear Slap level 2 shows up, and we just like, bam, you know, and then Vitality can win. So I'm 100% with Frosk here in terms of, like, when RNG and Genji are in the group, you're always going to be like, well, this is pretty done. But Genji, like, they look great in the gauntlet, but like before that, it wasn't exactly all roses and sunshine.
The important thing is like format. If this was a best of 5 double round robin, you know what I mean? Like then you'd say absolutely 100% Genji, RNG make it out of this group. But because it's 8 days, because it's best of one, I honestly think anyone could pop out of that group because of how just working backstage, working as a coach. I know how teams like to prep. Things get overlooked, surprising things happen, and suddenly you're in a tiebreaker scenario in a high-pressure situation.
And I just love it because every year,
Don't cry.
Yeah, it's emotional for me. Seeing RNG and Gen.G get pulled into a European team every year. But I always love this thing because people are always like, cheese is terrible. And then when a European team uses cheese, they're like, we got him. We got RNG. And then when the Vietnamese team comes out and there's a level 6 Nocturne at like 5 minutes, we're like, honestly, who can prepare for this cheese? It's like, this is not how you play League of Legends. So I'm looking forward to more of that. That's going to be a good time. One of my favorite parts of Worlds.
Again, to go back also on the best of one, the upsets like Albus Nox Luna, taking down Rox Tigers is probably one of the biggest surprises we've ever had.
INTZ
beating EDG was expected because EDG would always underperform. So now we're used to it. But if you look at like Vitality, like they're better than INTZ and Albus Nox Luna, going into Worlds. They are extremely creative when it comes to level 1s, when it comes to early game planning around Kikis specifically. They love red side so they can get counter picks, especially for bot lane, but also ideally for the jungle. Like they will flex stuff around just to make sure Kikis is in a good spot. And that's the kind of stuff, if you're RNG and Gen.G, and you probably don't need a game that's super action-packed the first 20 minutes because you're actually just insane late game teams, you don't really like facing that in a best of one. So I think Vitality, and also just from knowing the players, like they're gonna come in, they're gonna hit hard from level 1.
So let's just to clear something up. The group of death is always like interesting to me because people have different definitions for what it means. Is it just the most stacked group, or is it the group with like the 2 top teams are so clear that like every other team is just gonna die?
Normally, it has to be the most stacked group, in my opinion, to be the group of death.
Well, then it's, I think, clearly the group of death.
Because last year it was G2, Samsung, and RNG, and it was like, okay, all these 3 teams are actually really insane if, they get out of groups. And then we had poor 1907 Fenerbahce just kind of sitting there.
I just think that I don't think Western fans should fear groups of death because I think that things do go up in the air. And I'd probably have to look historically to see kind of how close it's been down to the wire. Maybe it's not close at all, and it's just never. And it's
Samsung
always like
last year, right?
Yeah, Samsung was close. And I think since Cloud9 is very likely to go in this group, if they do not get drawn first, they're just guaranteed to go into Group B, as those are the only 2 choices that they have. Like Cloud9 is also a team that, while yes, they did struggle, they're kind of on this miracle run. Like it's also, I would consider like will be competitive in this group and can take wins off someone. And so for me, this group is just hype, just across all 8 days. Because especially because there's no break, it's literally just like constant action.
And I think a big thing I try to look at going into Worlds is less about how was their form the last couple of weeks of the split they played, more about, okay, what's the ceiling of this team? If they get, Korean solo queue, different kind of scrims than they normally do, and they get to adapt to a new patch. Some teams are slow, some teams want time. Like, I'm going to use G2 from last year, now that we talk about this group with RNG and Samsung, as an example of a team that hated changes. They wanted the same game every time, and they were not innovative at all, so they were not really that scary in a group stage format. But Vitality are the opposite. And I think they still have so many things to work on because, let's be honest here, after 20 minutes, Vitality are not that scary. Like, they still struggle when it comes to properly setting up, Baron or cleanly snowballing a game in the late game and, like, completely finish it. But the first 20 minutes can be super detailed, super planned. And I think there's so many things they can still work on. And because they play this early game style, I look at the games against RNG and Gen.G and I say, you know what? I think we're going to get 2 different kind of games. We're going to get 2 games where the early game fails and Vitality get destroyed. And we're just like, okay, whatever. The first 5 minutes went wrong. MLXG is playing for RNG and he's picked up 3 kills already. It's terrible. Everything is bad. But then we're going to get 2 other games against these teams where they actually succeed in the early game, get a couple of thousand gold in terms of gold lead, get past 20 minutes, and we start hyping the chance of them actually winning. But we have to always respect the late game is just way better for RNG and Gen.G, and the comeback potential is probably very high, but it could happen. So I'm glad Vitality is the team we put in there from the Western regions, because I think they're the one a team with the best chances to actually do something really cool against these teams.
No, I 100% agree. That's what I was winding up Vidius about in the office just the other day. I actually think that I have more faith, I guess a bold prediction, that Vitality would go 1-1 with RNG than Gen.G would go 1-1, which isn't to say that Vitality is a better team than Gen.G, but I think stylistically, because of a lot of the things that you mentioned, the fact that they do have a strong early game, that they can be very surprising, that it's almost nothing to lose. They're young, they're still learning. Now they get this environment and access to all of these different resources. And because of RNG stylistically, that Vitality could absolutely just sucker punch. Whereas Gen.G and RNG, they have a lot of history between these two teams.
Yep.
I'm sure, Korean LPL teams, Scrim, I would have no reason to doubt that those teams probably ran into each other over the scrims. They probably know each other a lot more than they're going to know the European teams. And it's just going to be the 1-2 punch. And people will be like, but how could you say that? It's like, it's Uzi and it's Ming's bot lane, and Vitality's not necessarily known for, I think it's bot lane strong, but I think it's bot lane strong in its creativity as opposed to just like its raw mechanical ability. And I think that that's actually I think a lot of teams try to say that just survive Uzi, when we saw actual success at taking down RNG at MSI, it was when Doublelift planted his feet and was like, no, we're going to take the stronger matchup. I believe he took the Caitlyn, I think it was, and decided to go toe-to-toe with Uzi and shut him down or prioritize having the bottom side of the map. And I think Vitality could look to do that instead of just ignoring their bottom lane and giving RNG their strength.
But no Caitlyn. We're getting Lux Pike every game.
That was a fun game to watch.
There's a lot of stuff you can play. A lot of the AD carries Uzi will play will probably not be lane bullies either.
Yep.
Like, a lot of them are more focused on scaling. He's probably going to play Vayne, in this.
The scary thing, though, is that I think Vayne I have to look more at the patch, but I'm like, it's the Q buff, isn't it? So you get more, pull it up.
Drakus, my man, you can pull up.
I think it's about defining where Vayne's going to slot.
It's 8-18, I believe, and not 19.
Oh, 8-18?
But yeah, so the thing is, Vayne already got played a bit.
Kai'Sa, Vayne.
If people are going to continue playing a lot of tanks, it's Uzi, so I think Vayne will definitely at some point be
he'll
pick.
play, yeah.
Oh, yeah, its tumble cooldown at early ranks is decreased. It used to be 6-5, 4-3-2, and now it starts at 4 and goes down to 2.
And the question is,
Vayne,
will that transition her into, my only question was, will that transition her into more of a lane bully and how Uzi will play it versus the idea that Vayne's always been very weak in lane phase?
It's just like
she'll definitely be able to punish it.
Yeah, it's just, she still has no wave clear, right? So if there's like a Varus in that lane, she still cannot. Like, maybe she can start to trade with the Caitlyn better, so that specific matchup doesn't feel quite as abusive, but like Ashe,
Point
Varus,
is, he will pick lanes that you can counterpick. Vitality wants to counterpick bot lane, and then we have seen them actually have Kikis go bot lane multiple times in the early game. We've seen Jizuke, when he plays roaming, go bot lane many times. Like, there is a lot of ways Vitality can try and punish that, which again is why Group B is going to be so exciting. But I'm 100% sure we're going to have a couple of the games where we hype up this potential early game for Vitality, and then the first gank or invade or whatever just fails completely, or someone dies in lane and it just crashes. Like, that will happen as well.
Live fast, die young.
Yeah, yes. I'm ready for both sides of this team. But again, as I said before, I actually think of any team you can put in there, I'm happy it's Vitality.
And Froskurinn, are you nervous at all talking about RNG potentially being vulnerable here in this situation against an early game team? That if you get, let's say, a Cloud9 that's on form and is playing in the early game, is there any fear in the back of your mind that RNG might go out in groups?
No, just because I have a lot of faith in the infrastructure of RNG. One of the biggest upgrades that they made, and a lot of the reason why they've started to surge, was behind the scenes taking Hart and Kesman, Kesman's now taken, I think, 4 different teams to Worlds and picked up multiple domestic championships, and his story in itself is quite cool, kind of coming from Korea over into the LPL. But I will say this, and I would say this, I'll say this for European teams next year, because I think that people just don't really get a wide picture of like behind the scenes where you like pull back the curtain and really see the inner workings. Burnout is a thing, and I understand sandbagging memes and jet lag, but RNG and Uzi in particular have been to every single international event, including All-Stars. It has not stopped.
And the addition of Asia Games too,
Asia
right?
Games.
They're not bringing a sub for AD carry.
And they moved venues. So the LPL has franchise venues. In the middle of this year, they opened up their Beijing arena, which messes with scrims. You're moving your life and your family over. Their families live in Shanghai. Their girlfriends live in Shanghai. They were traveling. The team's constantly doing more advertisement. So the team is tired. And so I'm actually very curious how in form. I think that RNG in particular, I won't talk about IG or EDG so much, will start Worlds very slow, and that they will only get stronger over time.
Which is great for Vitality because they don't get a week off.
Yes!
8 days back to back.
Get them in the early game.
Get them in the early game. Get them every one of those 8 back-to-back days. They can make it happen.
But yeah, okay, if Cloud9 joins the group as well, that would be actually pretty sick.
Who's the only other potential team that can join?
And Cloud9 has a
LMS,
really great opportunity
G-Rex.
to also beat, LPL teams just because Reaper as their coach is, he was EDG's coach for the longest time. He has a great read. He's faced all of these teams multiple times.
That's hype. I really hope Cloud9 end up in that
I actually think
group now.
Reaper's like the LPL kryptonite. That guy just destroys LPL teams.
Dude, you're giving NA so much hope right now. This is good.
I gotta say one thing about LPL as well.
The RNG are making out of this group.
RNG will make it out. RNG will be one of the favorites to win Worlds, but during summer split, regular season, I saw more and more games with less kills than normal.
In what?
In LPL.
Yeah, we got smarter.
So that was the story, and I started buying into it a little bit.
You want me to start poking into your guys' stories?
No, I'm just saying. I will say playoffs. I stepped a little bit away from it's so much more about slow and macro now, and it's definitely still a lot about fighting, especially with IG going to Worlds.
Okay, no, you can't be like I don't know about the guy with Invictus. Of course,
I know. Even RNG, like when you watch RNG play, it's like some of the pick and bans they will do does not tailor to play like beautiful, sexy macro. It's more like, yeah, you know what? Vayne here is going to be great. Hard losing lane, don't care. We're probably just going to stall mid. And then the team they play against will literally just be like, yeah, I guess there's no answer to Vayne mid lane, right? Like, she's just sitting there. Let's just keep grouping on her.
People don't watch LPL. They're going to be like, the LPL's playing Vayne mid?
Yeah, I know. Vayne going to mid lane, then after, And it's not even like trying to play the Vayne in side lanes and like play to a strong side or anything. It's just like, let's put Uzi without wave clear mid. And the enemy team will then randomly walk into mid lane 24/7 and start trying to hit his turret a little bit, and then just a big team fight happens. And I'm like, and it's great because I'm actually going to say this as a compliment now, because I actually think the meta and the current state of League of Legends is much more about strong fighting and way less about scale for 40 minutes and just don't fight anything. It's really hard to get proper vision. Baron is really easy to bait because you don't barely take any damage from, so you can just dance around Baron for like 10 minutes, and eventually someone will have to fight you. So I actually think the Chinese style is great. But it was just interesting because I had the mindset during the split of like, it's slowing down a lot more. They're trying to go a bit more, macro focused. But I think it's back to, and it should be back to as well, like, let's get insane mechanically gifted players in there. Let's get them strong carry champions, and then let's go ham. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm really curious on your opinion, because I was talking to Daniel about this last night over dinner. Fnatic. So the reason why I never at MSI predicted that Fnatic would take down RNG is because I felt that it would always get stalled out to a team fight. And while Fnatic had very strong team fighting in Europe, it just wasn't comparatively to what RNG were doing in the LPL. And then we come in, and so people are like, okay, but Fnatic, they were close, they're ready now. But I just look at how the meta has progressed over summer split, and I'm like, unfortunately, I don't think any teams like Fnatic didn't really get practice doing that, because the meta then immediately changed into all this weird shit. They're running 2 different top laners, and while they are increasing their synergy with like their collective roster, which I think does make them stronger, they didn't really get the true full-on 10 weeks of, we're going to practice team fighting right before we go back into a meta where I actually think it's, again, the tanks are coming back in, the AD carries, and you already know that the LPL teams are really practiced at that. So it feels a little bit unfortunate that all of the growth that you would think, because teams aren't going to be in the same spot that they were in MSI, wasn't really the right growth that they needed over the course of 10 weeks for coming into Worlds and what the meta is going to be. So
is your question that, like, is this a concern for Deficio and European analysts that, like, that Fnatic, our top team, may not be quite as practiced at team fighting, which appears to be the way that the game will be played?
I mean, in a way, yes. I think the main reason Fnatic are, just way better than the standard European team is because they can always fall back on team fighting. Mm-hmm. They just have better carries. Like, they play better team fights than other European teams without being the perfect team fighters on their own. So I 100% agree with your point about Fnatic versus RNG. I feel like in a lot of ways RNG are just going to be a better version of Fnatic, especially in the late game. But But that's kind of thing where I mentioned before how I feel like the ceiling of a team is going to be super interesting to look at when it comes to boot camping and scrimming. I think Fnatic has so many things they can still work on that they didn't get challenged on properly in Europe. Like, in the finals, they went back to let's sacrifice early game, which again always scares me for international stage, because then you have to start playing late game team fights versus teams like RNG if you're actually planning on trying to win the whole thing or like make it really far. And Schalke couldn't beat them in late game team fights, and Schalke couldn't cleanly take a lead and snowball with it. It always gave openings, and Fnatic, to their credit, were really good at seeing the opening and like instantly punish it. But that's way harder to do against, Gen G, KT, RNG, these kind of teams. So I think my hope for Fnatic is not going to be based too much on them beating all European teams, because I feel like they just have better carries, and they will always have that advantage that no one can take away from them. But more on, okay, they got to Korea early. They must be able to get great scrim partners because they're Fnatic and they've been there so many times. They have, big names. And hopefully that will be used to just improve the team a ton. So I have really high hopes for Fnatic, but I'm basing a lot on the team actually not falling back on the patterns they used in the final. Because in the semifinal, I got scared. I was like, this is bad. Because when they picked late game comps like 3 out of 4 times against Misfits, and then fought them at minute 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, I was just like, nope, this is not how you're supposed to play. You win because you have better players right now. You don't win because this is how you're supposed to play your draft. Like, I watched a Tristana lose lane, then walk mid lane level 4, rocket jump on a Lulu with no vision.
With a Braum flash.
Yeah.
That was...
With no clue about what's going on around you. And then enemy jungler showed, I think was it Braum showing up? Was it
Braum, yeah. So Hylissang and Reckless roam mid as a duo to try to get a kill. They're both level 4.
Just jumps onto the Lulu with no vision. They obviously get counter-ganked instantly and just die again. And I was just like, they're disrespecting, and they're going to win this game only if they can outplay in a team fight or the enemy team makes a mistake. And that's the famous Vayne, Hansama.
Yeah, I mean, because that was the moment where they probably just won that game.
They were supposed to be down 2-1 that series, right? So luckily, I think for the final they did less of that, which was a great sign.
It came together. It came together in kind of a picturesque moment too, where you were like, is Reckless actually going to be a threat again? And he showed up in a final team fight, and there was a game, and that was a game where Caps got put behind in the laning phase, and Schalke failed to snowball because Fnatic as a team came together, kept catching them, did not let them push their lead any further. And so what was a 0-2 rise for Caps to start, which if you look back last season would have been a death sentence for this team when like Caps was the main point of weakness, like now did not affect them nearly as much. Caps comes back into the game, is way more relevant in team fights than Nukeduck was. It looked good in those final moments.
Yeah, so I do have hopes for Fnatic, but if it's a Fnatic RNG you're asking about in a best of 5, I'm going 3-0 RNG still. I just think right now RNG will do what Fnatic is doing and do it better, unless Fnatic can develop super good early game against them. I don't think Fnatic's level 1 will be great, but if they play like in the finals, it's going to be too slow to beat RNG. If they play like in the semifinals, they're going to draft a scaling comp and fight in the early game, and that's not going to work.
We need to see something new. Is what
on paper, I believe RNG will just beat them, but I have really high hopes about the boot camp. Like I might put too much faith in how good I think the team can become.
But right now you're talking about a matchup that may not even happen.
But that's the matchup everyone cares about.
I know. We want it. We want to see it.
And a lot of people, I guess the temperature on the community is that they look at Fnatic's group. There's a good chance that Fnatic come out of that group. That you possibly get Fnatic popping out into the semis.
I don't even want to hear good chance here. I need to hear a must-win group.
A must-win group for Fnatic.
Reminder, they are in Group D. Fnatic are the first seed. Their 2 second seeds are 100 Thieves from North America and Invictus Gaming from the LPL. So... are they we can do the
IG Fnatic matchup.
Yeah,
that one's interesting.
That's the thing I want to talk about, right? Because that feels like the more immediately relevant matchup. But before we get there, is this a group preliminarily, Deficio, that you feel like Fnatic come out number 1, no questions asked, or is it they're going to make it out number 1, number 2? We're gonna wait and see.
What's your bold statement?
Wait,
do you want me to give you a bold statement first?
Fnatic will make it out of groups.
Well, that's bold.
I didn't say bold. I said we're waiting with the bold ones. I will say there's a higher chance IG does not make it out of groups than Fnatic, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Just because IG is walking dynamite, that at random might just do that, and then we just don't know what's going on. But 100 Thieves. So when I watched the group draw at home with my parents, it was a great family moment. They didn't fully understand a whole lot of it.
You like brought your mom and dad into the room. Be like,
listen. I said,
listen.
we're watching this. This is like European history about to be made right here. I saw Fnatic get drawn into Group D. I was like, okay, that's typically pretty good because the first team that gets drawn doesn't automatically just get like put in your group or blah blah blah. I don't know if it's good or not. Anyway, I don't know why I said that. Anyway, they got in Group D.
Yay!
So family happy. Fnatic got drawn. It's all great. My little brother is a big Fnatic fan, so there we go. And then I see Afrika gets drawn, and I'm like, yes, in Group A with them, perfect. I see Gen G got drawn. I was like, yes. They're going to Group C. I'm like, the Korean teams are gone. This is perfect for Fnatic. And I see 100 Thieves, and I'm like, I'm running around the room. Like, my parents are confused. They're like, why is this so good?
This mental picture is so good.
I'm like, this is the greatest thing that could have happened to this team, because a team like Buffalo could actually surprise them a lot and like beat them in the early game if they draft for late game.
Gigabyte Marines is flashing in front of his eyes.
It could happen, right? But 100 Thieves do not play fast early game whatsoever. To me, that is not great at anything. And they play a lot through. They try to play a lot through mid. But it's like, have fun playing Rio into Caps right now. Like, Caps is gonna win that matchup. So I look at that draw. I'm like, this should be a 2-0 Fnatic. This should not be a bad thing for Fnatic at all. And as long as they get a 2-0 against 100 Thieves, they should basically be out, at least top 2. Yeah. And then whatever happens against IG, should not matter. So I was so happy when I saw 100 Thieves in there. I think they're one of the weakest teams we're going to get in groups at all, even with the Plains teams joining. And it's a team that stylistically should not be able to beat Fnatic. So happy about that one. So yeah, Fnatic will get top 2. First place, Frosk. Is it IG or Fnatic?
I will know after Invictus Gaming's first game.
After the first game?
Yeah.
Just one single game?
One game. So the thing about IG is that I do not have the same faith in IG. So here's probably my most controversial opinion.
That segment for later.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, all right, fine.
Okay, I think Edward Gaming and RNG, as an LPL analyst, I would put more faith in EDG and RNG. Yeah, that's controversial. Than Invictus Gaming right now.
Why do you hate IG?
It's an infrastructure thing. I think that Invictus Gaming, every opportunity that they've been given to go to an international stage and perform in kind of like a clutch or high pressure situation over many years, they've been unable to execute on it, even before you take a look at their roster. I think that they've had 10 playoffs appearances, and they've only gone to the finals for like the first time. They've never won an LPL title.
Rookie's first final.
Yep. So this is an organization that is constantly able to perform to A level, but never like find that 6th gear. And they're not investing in the same capacity in terms of like really buffing out their coaching staff. They were actually having some issues with their coaching staff where they were trying to bring on more coaches to fix it, because I think there were some stage issues. And so from that perspective, IG are a team that's almost entirely built its success on the caliber of its players. And again, in a long form tournament like this, where it's about you're playing on a new patch that you don't necessarily have competitive experience on, you're playing in, week after week after week with a ton of teams. I think it is so much more important to have access into a very strong support network that, as you're talking about, like if you give teams access to these types of scrims of this type of solo queue, how far can they go? And I think that while IG is a very talented team,
they're kind of capped.
Yeah, I don't think that they go much farther than this. I think their team fighting is one of the weaker in the LPL. And so, while I don't think that Fnatic would be able to beat RNG's team fighting, I definitely think that Fnatic could 100% beat IG's team fighting. I think IG also tried to exploit the game in a super similar way, which again, if you're going to try to hit a Western team in Caps, like that's the one point that you don't want to try to exploit. So if it's Rookie versus Caps, even if that's a wash, which that's how IG have been winning, because the Shy is not performing to the level that we expect him of. Duke is being left out to dry. Ning is underperforming massively. And so then you also then look at Fnatic, you're like, okay, that's Broxa. Do I personally consider Broxa like a hyper carry jungler? I mean, you look at his champion pool in the past, you could say like, oh, maybe he could do it, but it's usually a tank player, like a lot of Sejuani, stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, jungle, probably I would say Fnatic's totally fine there. And if Fnatic just Broxa Caps against Rookie who's trying to like Spider-Man his way, close everything. You have the experience of Reckless versus Jackie Love, who on every single spotlight stage has flash forward and fed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just as long as Broxah doesn't play carries, I actually have a lot of faith in that.
See, again, Vedius and I, but he's like, but one of his two most played. This is my Vedius impression. Should do it better than that. I can't do a Welsh accent. Yeah. Kazakhstan Elise. I was like, but Vedius, he plays like Sejuani every day.
He brought back the 2-year-old Elise.
But he's like, but it's there. You could see it in the history.
It's not that he can't play it. My issue is that Fnatic has talked very publicly about how the two rocks of this team are Soaz and Broxah. And they're the people who say stop when the rest of the team is like, let's team fight at 5 minutes with a scaling comp.
Yep.
And if he is on a carry jungler, being the person that says stop when he is the champion that needs to go, like that just doesn't add up to me. That doesn't seem like it would fit in their communication
he
structure.
thrives in a meta where it's like Dark Harvest, Lee Sin, Graves?
He's a great Lee Sin player.
Fantastic.
So if it's just based on can he execute the champion at a high level, yes. But in terms of the team setup,
that's my question.
So it's interesting because, as you said, him and Soaz are kind of like the grown-ups being like, calm down, kids. We don't need to fight all the time.
Just imagine all of Fnatic on like leashes.
That's the metaphor they use. They say they unleash the beast, and Broxah and Soaz put the leash back on the beast.
They try to catch Caps. He's far gone. Like he's hard to.
What kind of dog would Caps be?
I mean,
is he like a small like yappy dog, or is he like a big like very powerful polling dog?
He's not a.
This is what we spend our time doing in the LPL. This might be new for you guys.
Yeah, we figure you got a lot of metaphors in the LPL.
We get really bored in the green room.
The thing is, I wouldn't call him a small but loud dog, because small dogs are loud because they're small and then they don't have anything to show for it. But he has a lot to show for it because he's already like proven he's insane. So I guess in that case, he needs to be a larger dog.
He's like to me, he's like a bloodhound because he like gets the scent or he gets this idea in his head and he just goes. And like, Caps, what are you doing? You're insane. Like, you don't play main mid here. He's like, no, it'll work. And then, it doesn't, but then it does in one moment. He's like, God, bloodhound.
But here's the thing, right?
There's your promotion. Now I want Broxah on like a throw and then just the bloodhound.
No, you calm down.
All right, so Broxah thing. I don't think it necessarily benefits Fnatic if they have to start playing carry junglers only. But I do think if it's about playing junglers that can have early game impact, I think Broxah is going to be great at doing that because he's gotten a lot better at actually knowing when to be proactive in the early game compared to in the past where maybe it was a little bit either too much all in at first and then it became almost too passive.
Yeah,
and
he got
kind of
around Worlds last year. He was really scared. He was like way too conservative.
Right. So, but that's kind of thing where I think what benefits Fnatic is what I call the traditional League of Legends setup that is almost meta-proof, which is 3 supports and 2 carries. And if you have that kind of setup, built around your team, most of the time you can be successful. You can then argue does it have to be a top lane carry, or does it have to be like whatever mid lane carry. Ideally, it is an 80 carry and a mid lane carry for most of it. And in fact, they bring that. If they have to play only carry tops, 1, Whippo can do it, and 2, I think Source can do it now as well. I think Source has actually done a lot to improve his own individual play and his laning. So that is not going to be a huge weakness for Fnatic. But the thing about their matchup against IG, to me, is one, IG relies so much on trying to get ahead, especially in the solo laners. If the Shy is playing, definitely so. But through Rookie, it can happen. And I can see Fnatic hurt themselves a ton against IG and just get like sucked into every skirmish and lose these skirmishes and then fall behind and then try and rely on stalling for late. So to me, it's a 1-1, IG Fnatic.
I think this is a type of game that if you're a European fan and you're watching Fnatic versus IG and nothing happens in the first 12 minutes of the game, you're super excited.
Yeah, you're pretty happy then.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. It's actually fun because the last time Fnatic came in as the first seed was in 2015, and they also had IG in their group. It was a very different IG, obviously, but stylistically somewhat the same.
Garner.
It was the IG that still wanted to play super aggressive early game, who wanted to fight everything. Kakao obviously was the jungler on the lineup back then, and the Huni Fnatic lane swapped in game 1 against them with Hecarim versus Riven. And IG were just like, we have no clue what a lane swap is. What do we do here? And everything just fell apart. Fnatic beat them in like 20 minutes. It's not going to be the same kind of game, but I find it interesting that Fnatic are back as the first seed for the first time in a long time.
Back against IG.
And now to get IG again, and IG again wants to win the early game, and Fnatic actually will just do better if they survive the early game. You can't lane swap. At least it will be a lot harder to do. But if they come in and play smart, I think Fnatic got it. But I think Invictus will win at least one game against them.
I'll know after their first game.
Oh,
And
man.
What if the first
Hold
game is
back.
Fnatic IG? And IG beat
Then you'll definitely know. That'll be clear.
yeah, IG beats them. IG's number one.
I'll say this. I think that Invictus Gaming, again, because I don't have the same faith in like their infrastructure, I think that team is super prone to tilt. We saw it in their playoff run in spring, in both the regional qualifiers as well as the LPL gauntlet, and the schedule is quite intense because it's back to back to back. But watching Rookie just I don't want to say have a meltdown because I don't think that's fair, but just very emotionally charged moment. And then watching IG unable to, lose after having these record-breaking split. Because when things are going great, it looks great for IG. But as soon as they hit a roadblock, they have not been shown that they can actually pick it back up and put it back together through their entire season in the LPL. They just go on these huge winning streaks. So if they run into groups, which again, 8 days, you don't get a second chance, you're playing different teams, and they just run into it, this team, again, has not shown that they can be like, okay, calm down, reset. They don't have the dog handler where it's like, okay, children, it's fine, calm down, put the leash back on, we're gonna be okay.
It's also interesting with the final, very controversial opinion here for Reddit. It was basically
Baron
a 3-0
is nuts.
At first.
How dare you say that?
Because
I know the fact that they're like, that wasn't a miracle. IG had it the entire time. The 22-minute, and Karsus smited that. If he had missed it only slightly, he would have gotten the Baron. The fact that he smited that Baron perfectly meant that he didn't get it.
yeah, because people highlighted that Baron leveled up,
so crazy.
just when it happened. But because I was sitting and watching the final, obviously, and I was like, man.
3-0.
Like RNG, now you already winning game 3 again. It was only Rookie on Zoe who actually did anything that game.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of work. Let's give him a lot of credit
Man
there.
mode in that base.
But everyone else was just like doing nothing. I was like, oh, they're gonna get this. Was that the Vayne game? Might have been the Vayne mid where Uzi went mid with
yeah,
it.
I think so.
No,
No,
sorry,
that was
he won
game
that
4
game. Yeah,
because
that was-
game 4 was when they just like RNG were just high five suiciding into IG at every point.
But, so I want to give IG credit, obviously for after getting Baron, closing out the game, winning the next game, making it game 5. And game 5 was very competitive. I think they need credit for that. But that I'd already called it 3-0 when I saw the first 20 minutes of game 3. And I was very surprised when I saw the Baron steal into then collapse into IG then playing really well until, they lost at the end of game 5. But I think had RNG gotten the Baron and 3-0'd, it would have been a lot harder for a lot of people also looking at IG and really getting an idea of how good they would be, because the regular season with 18-1 was obviously super impressive, and they fully deserved to make the final. But it's very interesting, like how much that one Baron could maybe have changed the perception of IG coming in.
Oh yeah.
And how close RNG and IG will be in strength, because now, based on the final 5 games, back and forth, they're very close. Baron still doesn't happen. Do people say RNG is way better than IG then? I'm actually not sure.
I mean, what people just need to understand about IG is that they're in the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference is the stronger conferences of the two. They did have RNG and JDG in their conference, so they were fighting these teams a lot. But Uzi wasn't there for a majority of, summer. Invictus Gaming went back onto their winning streak, but there was actually a very real conversation as we were watching IG kind of putting themselves back together for summer and saying that Duke is actually the better top laner now for Invictus Gaming. We would never say that Duke in a 1v1 across from the Shy was stronger, but Duke was just synergizing so much better with the team. And then they get into the playoffs and they get into the regional, or not regional qualifier, but they start ending split, and then suddenly Duke is just being attacked and being exposed, and it was really, again, just the Rookie show, and Rookie just playing out of his mind well. But at some point, Rookie's not going to have those types of games against world caliber mid laners, where it's, the top mid laners of...
I would say there's a lot of those players in the LPL. I think you guys have actually really good mid laners on the top teams.
I personally think that we're sending... I think that they're controversial. A discussion to be made that the LPL is actually sending the 3 strongest mid laners in terms of recent performance. People will look at Scout and be like, what the hell? And I would have said the same thing. I was totally against Scout, but Scout is playing...
I know, I have to put him on my top 20 list.
Oh, are you going to put him at number 5?
Oh, no, hell, no. That's Cap's spot now. Scout is on my list, and I hate... It's a weird praise to say, but he's less dumb than he was in the past.
He's just... I have always been so hard on Scout. I'm just like, this guy just will lose you games because he just does stupid shit sometimes. But right now, he is playing out of his mind well. I don't expect it to last, which is why it's like, if Scout comes onto the world stage and just crash and burns, I know it's probably going to happen. But if you just look at his recent footage, he's disgustingly good.
He makes less mistakes, and that was my biggest criticism of him in the past, was that no matter the situation, he would all in you. And it's like, enemy team has shown on wards right next to you. He's like, I don't care. I'm all in. You remember that play against C9, I think it was?
Yeah.
And then the Shen just shows up.
And I was like stuff like that happened last year. Was
And
just
lost
like,
in that whole
I'm
game.
like, there's no way I can put this guy as
Yeah.
a top 20 player because he's just not aware enough of what's going on. But I think he's improved that. He's mechanically obviously insane, and he was that last year too. So I agree that with Xiaohu, Scout, and Rookie, you're sending insane mid laners.
Like collectively across. Oh, and here's the other thing: collectively across all three, because obviously there's good like Caps and Korean mid laners that you're dealing with. But I'm saying across all three positions, I think China
add
is
it all
sending
up,
the
it's the best.
collective best.
Yeah, I
three.
mean, if you look at the three mid laners coming from Korea, and Yukal, Koro, and then we have Crown, none of these guys are the star players on their team. I think actually a lot of the guys, mainly looking at Crown especially, is while he plays super well in Gauntlet, there's still a chance he might get relegated to more of a supportive mid lane style in a way. I think Yukal might actually also kind of end up there in some one way or the other. So I think Koro is probably the best performing of the three Korean mid laners going, and
But
he's
then
actually done a lot better than in the past.
That's what's actually really cool for Europe is then you look at the three mid laners, I can never say it right.
Jizuke. It's not good.
Jizuke. I don't know why I want to say Jizuke.
Italian
I
stallion.
said it
Italian
wrong for like the
stallion.
first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Someone made a sign and held it up in front of me on the cast.
Perks and Caps. So Perks and Caps, two clutch players.
Oh, yeah.
The Italian Stallion, you've seen highs and lows, but like if this guy, again, if the assumption is, let's say that everyone that you're sending is playing the best of their abilities, because that's what you want. It's Worlds.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, when you're thinking collectively across all three positions, I think that there's actually a pretty decent argument that Europe might also, because you just said it, the supportive Korean mid laners versus like the superstars that Europe is sending from the region in terms of that mid lane.
I'm pretty happy.
Best
I'm happy.
form Perks,
I mean,
best
I
form
think
Caps.
It's also just not much of a competition this year because we got all of the utility mid laners from Korea, pretty much.
I mean, I think Koro. I don't want to call him a utility mid laner
less so,
anymore.
for sure. Historically, yes, not anymore. Agreed.
And Yukal obviously in the past.
you know, you
has
don't
also
have to
been
deal with
known.
Faker.
Sure, but
BDD didn't
there's
get
no
to make
Faker,
it.
There's no BDD. And we look at NA, and they're sending Pobelter and Ryu, and like those guys are definitely not.
Also
what I would
more
call-
like kind of team player
when
utility mid
Liquid
laners.
last saw success, it was Pobelter on like very supportive champions. It was not Pobelter.
Watch
popping off
Pobelter
and-
just come in and just like kick the
I mean,
door.
and he
and
has. He has had those moments.
I
but
feel
I'm
like we've
definitely a
tried to
skeptic.
say that for a lot of
week
international
one,
tournaments.
and then it came week two, and it was so unfortunate because you guys just did the segment about like building, and
I know.
everyone in that green room was like, "Yeah, Pobelter's playing really well right
He
now. Let's
did
build a
play
segment.
really
Let's do
well.
it." And then he came in literally the very next game, and unfortunately, everything just went boom.
I remember that.
It was
it was
so
the Rise and
unfortunate.
Alcohol game. Oh no.
As we get closer to the end of this episode, this is now the time for bold predictions. There's already been a few bold statements.
Oh, I already threw all of them out there.
Is that, you need more? Because now we're going into bold. I need bold predictions to officiate.
Well, I also want to talk EDG, but fair enough, we can do bold predictions.
Well, the thing is, we weren't going to talk about plans today. We hit Scout briefly. We'll save
I
plans.
just feel like we have the former LPL analyst here.
And we're not talking about G2, though.
I just talked about
G2
Perks. Yeah, we didn't
But,
talk
but
about G2.
I just, so very briefly, I'm very sorry.
You're very
As
sorry.
the second host, I feel like I have to step in here, and we talk a lot about IG, we talk a lot about RNG. EDG, to a lot of people, if you don't watch LPL, you'll think, yeah, of course EDG makes worlds. They always make worlds. However, I think very few people would actually have predicted EDG to make worlds.
None of
based
us predicted them
well,
to
okay,
make
then
it.
no one would have predicted EDG to make worlds.
It's like again
Starting
the
strong
analogy.
here, Martin, by the way.
Hey, I'm trying to set it up without making big, bold statements
Make
so
a
that
bold
Frost could do that. But to me, EDG making worlds is almost a crime compared to like JDG or something. And this EDG team, great gauntlet run.
2 best of 5s.
I just want to
They
be clear.
played literally 9
That's
games.
it.
Wait, I
and
just want to be
got
clear.
worlds.
As the second host, you could have just put that in bold statements, and we could have talked about it there.
Okay.
Mr. Derailing
No,
the
he's
show.
just trying to get your authentic reaction, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how
I'm
people react to this. So
very authentically upset that EDG are at Worlds.
talk to us about EDG.
I love analogies, and so I'm going to do a very visual analogy. Just imagine you're in like a go-kart race with a bunch of 9-year-olds. They've all built their own go-karts, and it's just like a very family wholesome
Very
moment.
relatable.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Many of us have experienced
No one
the
had a
infamous
childhood,
9-year-old
apparently.
go-karts. Yes.
And as you're going downhill and the race is going, that is the LPL summer split, EDG were basically like last place, they're kind of middle of the pack, they're getting ping-ponged around. And as they're getting ping-ponged around, wheels are flying off, the windshield's gone, the car is literally on fire. And then if you're standing at the finish line and just like waiting to see who's going to come in for Worlds, you just hear the scraping coming. And you turn and there's like sparks, scouts literally like pushing it across the finish line, and then it just barely inches over, and then the doors fall off.
Wait. So is the analogy here that literally every cart has crashed? Is that like, is it just like, oh, the first two, wow.
Blue shell, Mario
predicted.
Kart, you know?
Yeah, JDG just like took a left turn and like took everyone out. Have you seen like the Tour de France when one cyclist goes down in like a pack?
Yeah.
EDG is literally so far behind that they get to go past the pack and qualify. That is not a great picture to paint for a third seed.
Hey, Jackie love team fighting.
iBoy,
sorry. Jack.
Okay, wait, but
just iBoy team fighting. My bad.
This is a very beautiful picture, especially with the Tour de France one.
Season 2.
The Tour de France one is particularly poignant, but is it that bad? Is this just a team that like has no idea what they're doing that somehow managed to cross the finish line, or like how strong is EDG?
We play 19 best of series in the LPL.
Yes.
EDG made it to Worlds off of 9 games. They went to 5 games against JDG, and they managed to close out the final one in like the 3-1. So about half of those games they lost, and that's how they made it to Worlds. It is actually a very dire situation, but it's a completely different EDG. You're not going to see Clear Love. Haro.
Are you sure?
No.
I was about to say.
Haro had EDG have been public with this. They're having shot calling problems. Mako is now the captain and the shot caller of the team. Clear Love took a step away, and they just 20 minutes comes in. So EDG, we talk about them as like a pocket team, and it's actually quite interesting. If you watch Edward Gaming play, they look really good for about 7 minutes. And when they look good, it's when all of the towers are up, because their philosophy is that you're never doing one play at a time. You're always doing multiple plays. So if you watch them on the map, they're really fun to watch when towers are up, because there's 3 plays that are happening at once. So if something goes bad, they can fall back to another one. As soon as the towers fall down and it's an open map, Edward Gaming look really lost. So they tend to move very quickly. In like 8 to 9 minutes, they'll dive bottom tower. And it's not like I'm giving away secrets. They do this every time. If you've watched the VODs.
Calm down, Taba here.
I know, right? Heckram's going to come out now. They do it every time. All the teams know it. Europe, NA, you're welcome. They dive 9 minutes, bottom tower, be there, pick Alistar. Really hard to dive that champion, or Tom Kench. Then they snowball into mid lane. They take systematically all the towers down. They've got their big gold lead. And then Mako needs to be on a hard engaged champion. Otherwise, nothing will happen. And they will stall out for 15 to 20 minutes around the Baron. Like, what we gonna do? How are we gonna set it up? Yeah, put Mako on Soraka. And you will just sit and wait for 27 minutes. You will win the game.
I think they're pretty bad.
I love you, Edward Gaming.
I'm really not on the EDG hype train.
I didn't want to go down this rabbit hole, but as long as we're here, is there a world where EDG do not make it out of the plans?
No.
No.
I said it was like, it's not on fire. It made it across.
You did say it was on fire. You said it was on fire. The wheels were screeching. The doors fell off.
Scout's playing really well.
Yeah, but so they have obviously
talented players,
really great carries in iBoy and Scout, and Scout is playing a lot better than before. They have a jungler who can do more in the early game than Clearlove used to do.
But he's
at Worlds.
super inconsistent, and he's very
Clearlove
new.
at Worlds was the least consistent player in the world. This can be better for them.
But do you just feel like mechanical ability should help carry them through, and that when they're in these positions, there's just going to be more openings because they're playing against, let's just say, less experienced teams?
I have not seen enough game footage to give me faith that Edward Gaming will be able to get back into form, but in the hard sprint that it needed to, the form, like if you only watch LPL playoffs, that's the best that Edward Gaming have looked all goddamn year. And they have not looked anything near to that form. And I can't be like, oh yeah, 9 games, that's exactly what they're going to bring to Worlds when I have, 30 some games to look at. But maybe they take those 9 games and they continue to extend it, and EDG look great.
And if they end up in, let's say, Group C, which I think is possible for them, which has KT, Mad Team, and Team Liquid, I can see EDG make it out and go to playoffs. Like, it's going to be them versus TL, in my opinion, then fighting for the second spot. And probably not a big controversial statement, because I don't have a lot of faith in Mad Team.
Time for a bold prediction.
Oh my god.
Does NA make it out of groups, Deficio?
Let's see. 100 Thieves, no. C9, because they go into Group B, no. Team Liquid.
They'll go into Group C, yeah?
I will
Genji,
say
RNG?
bold prediction. Team Liquid will make it out of groups as the number 1 team.
Over the KT roster.
It has to be a bold prediction here. You don't see 100% correct.
So just to be clear, is that more or less bold than NA not making it out of groups?
I mean, NA always send at least C9 out of groups, so, they always have one team going out. Because in order for me to make it bold, just saying TL will make it out of that group is not bold, but I have to put them as the number 1 team here. They're going to 1-1 against KT, and they're going to beat the rest.
And KT's going to lose a game to Mad Team.
More likely that 100 Thieves make it out of their group as, say, 2nd seed, or TL makes it out of their group as, say, 1st seed?
I think 100 Thieves making out a 2nd seed is the least likely.
Okay.
Yeah,
We don't even know what AD carry they're playing.
This is that's true, and neither one.
Yeah.
Are you excited about either of them?
Yeah.
You're slightly more excited about Cody's
I like
side.
Someday. I think he's good, but
Someday's
if
good.
he's stuck on a tank top or something, what is he going to do? Also
Also,
the whole I will carry the game alone while he did try was really hard for him to do in playoffs, and it faded a little bit out. So I need more bold predictions here.
All right. Vitality are going to make it out 2nd seed in their group, and they're going to beat the 1st seed Team Liquid that you've just decided in the quarterfinals. They're going to lose the first 2 games, and in game 3, someone on Team Liquid will hard throw.
Oh,
Zuke
no.
will get
That's
that
too far.
Same surge of confidence.
This is
that he did
really
in his third play.
specific.
You want bold. I don't
Right.
have to get real specific, and they're going to bring it back.
You can stop it at Vitality makes it out of group. I think that's a bold prediction.
That's not. Yeah,
It
and
is.
then beats Team Liquid. I'm calling it.
But the Team Liquid has to get
Yeah, I mean, look, but on the chance that I'm wrong, people are like, well, that was dumb. But if I'm right,
All right.
I'm the new Crumbs. And we've been looking for a new Crumbs.
I
That's
actually
all I'm
had
saying.
the highest. I didn't get my trophy. I was really upset about it. I had the highest correct percentage predictions over the entirety of MSI.
That's good.
Yeah.
So tell us what's your bold prediction for Worlds?
Of who's going to win it?
No,
I mean, doesn't-
just give
doesn't matter.
us some
Bold
bold
prediction?
predictions.
Who's the
Just
MVP?
bold. Just throw it
Who
out.
gets
Yeah,
the
just give
Dade
us some bold
Award?
stuff.
China final, baby.
China
final.
final in Korea.
Would it be EDG or IG then versus RNG?
Again, I actually said at the very beginning of the episode that I had more faith that Edward Gaming would pop out.
All right. I will say, you guys are watching at home. You will always, for some reason, people always ignore the bold part and just hear the prediction part.
And they go, what are you talking about?
What? You idiot! And then it's like, it has to be bold here.
Oh, I do want to clarify this though, because I'll definitely get a lot of shit for that. I'm mean to everyone. So when people are like think that I'm very, very biased, no. If you actually just want me to like shit talk any team, I'm really good at doing that. That would actually be a great game for me. If you just give me a team and I can shit talk them, and then I can compliment them.
We'll plan for that for the future because that's one of my favorite games.
Here's the thing though, I'm a little bit surprised with IG and your current relationship with IG, because I remember in spring when we got to MSI and IG obviously
I'm
weren't,
an IG
weren't
fan.
there, right? And you were mad, and you were like, the shy, this guy, why is he not here? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, a lot of IG bias, it's fine. And then it turns into now people believing you absolutely hate IG also because you rate them the lowest out of these 3 teams. I like IG more than you do.
Yeah.
I think that's safe to say. I like Rookie a lot.
I love
he's
Rookie.
great.
You can't not like it. Look
Um,
at their face. You just
I think IG and their playstyle is not my cup of tea. It used to not be my cup of tea, but now, again, because I'm more into the fast 20 minutes, super aggressive, what can you do kind of style.
But they don't do anything after that.
No, but that doesn't matter because I can watch 20 minutes of it and then I can.
Oh,
then
it's a great
games,
game.
the LCK game is on pause. There's a break, and I watch 20 minutes of IG, and then I'm like, oh, the game is starting
I
again.
see.
Back to Papa Smithy, and then I'm watching LCK, and I only saw 20 minutes of IG, and I'm like,
this is peak
Great
League of
stuff.
Legends.
This
right
is
there.
this is my problem with IG. First 20 minutes, you're like, this is the greatest team in
This
the
is
world.
good stuff.
I love them. And then they start team fighting. You're like, no, what are you doing? Stop it, Jackie Love. Don't flash forward the
with
shy. You're
less of a
supposed to zone
problem at
here.
Worlds against
Baolan-
Western teams.
Baolan is way too weak of a support for how important team fighting. Because if we go into a team fighting meta where you got like traditional
Picking Braum or
tanks,
something. Like,
He-
stand there.
I understand.
All right. You're going down a rabbit hole. and I appreciate that.
I need more bold stuff.
I know you need more bold stuff, but also we're running out of time, and the people on Twitter have asked some questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you tell them that I was going to be here?
No, I said we have a special guest. It's not Vedius.
Well, we didn't want to spoil because then people are going to speculate, like, is Froskurinn coming to Europe? Why is Froskurinn in Europe?
I don't
And now
think anyone would have
know.
ever speculated that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
This way, it's a real surprise when you're on that show.
Yes, and we had a
Surprise!
great announcement that we completely derailed like 3 times.
It was so bad.
Again,
we did not great.
I can be really nice or really mean to any team. So it's not
good.
just Chinese teams.
Lovely.
You're welcome, 2019
So,
Europe.
all right. This is the first question from Rabstar, at Rabstar Law on Twitter.
Cool name.
I like it, yeah. He asks, because you tagged Vedius.
Yeah, Vedius is in everyone.
You and Vedius.
But I told him Vedius is not here.
I know, but it's just how Twitter works. So I just was like, why is this for Vedius? But I figured it out. All right. Should Korea get an extra seed at Worlds and replace someone else's seed? He suggests one of NA seeds. Griffin definitely outclasses the NA representatives, for example. Now, you can take the NA part out, but at this point, historically, obviously, RNG are on the up and up. But should Korea have gotten a 4th seed?
If you base it on you want the highest level of teams to be at this tournament, yes, they should have another seed.
I'm full anarchy. I think you kill every sort of way that we get into Worlds, and I think you have different tournaments. You you kill a split, you unlock it, and you say, okay, we're gonna have a tournament in Korea, China, North America, and Europe, and the top 3 teams will get invited to Worlds, but anyone can go in. So all of the Korean teams can go to the European tournament and play in, and it's just whoever wins. And
Is that
then you take those
StarCraft
teams.
all over again?
I don't
Isn't
play
that what
StarCraft, so I
happened
don't
in
know.
StarCraft?
Koreans won everywhere, and they just won everything. And you're like, yes, the representative, he's Korean
Yeah.
and from Korea, but he played through the European
So
circuit.
that's kind of a problem. Like for the sake of the tournament and the worldwide audience, I don't think Korea should get another seed. I think you look at the Football World Cup, and it kind of follows the same structure, right? Even if European teams, there's a lot of strong European teams in football, you don't necessarily just give Europe more spots and take away from another region specifically. So I think for the sake of the tournament, you got to keep it where it's like, major regions can get 3. And obviously if you suck as a major region for too long and another region overtakes you, you should lose your spot, but not to give it to another major region.
Then maybe we redefine like the Champions Tournament at MSI and like Worlds. Like, wouldn't Worlds be amazing if we actually had, every single like Team China, Team Korea, Team
80 teams. For me, I mean, it's possible. Like, I think that, but increasing the scale of the event is always difficult.
Definitely. But I think in terms of overall level, sure.
What I would like to see is a future where where Riot is more aggressive about knocking people down to play-ins and taking away first seeds. Because like if a region doesn't make it out of groups for like a year or 2 years, like just take away their first seed. Your first rep can be a 2nd seed, and you can have 2 teams in play-ins. And I think that's reasonable. And promote the regions, give more first seeds to regions that are actually making it out consistently. Because I think that I don't want to see a world where we have because Worlds to me is cool because we get to see a bunch of different Clash of Styles. I don't want this to be the LCK and LPL show. We get that at Rift Rivals to a certain degree, and I think that's cool for sure. But I want to see more international clashes. But I do think that if your region is bad and just keeps being bad or is struggling, as is the case of NA, you should lose something, right? And I think the same is true post 2014 year coming into 2015. If Europe had lost, let's say, some favorable seeding, if 2 of our teams,
NA already lost the first seed, right? They don't have a first seed.
Yeah. So it's just I feel like you can put more teams in play-ins and bring up other teams that are performing well.
It's always an interesting discussion. I understand why certain fans have the idea of give more spots to Korea and maybe China, if they're just outperforming and only have a few others. But I think, again, the tournament itself doesn't necessarily get better by putting in more spots to a single region. Because I like the fight for the top spots. I like the fight for the spots to go to Worlds, to represent your region. Specifically, I think that's super exciting for the actual tournament all year long. It would be way less exciting if, let's say, 5 Korean teams ended up going and you're watching the playoffs with 5 or 6 teams in it, and you're like, well, only one of these won't make it. Everyone else will go. I don't think, again, that even makes their setup better. And it's always hard to judge, is their number 5 team in Korea better than, let's say, the number 3 team in Europe? And without them playing each other, it can almost be unfair if you're just making the case instantly saying, yeah, for sure, these guys will be way better than these guys.
Yeah.
And then it's also BO1 versus BO5 and all that kind of stuff. So, because I think in best of ones, we've seen a lot of times that most teams are fairly even.
Yeah. Much closer, at least.
I love group stages. Like to me, that's the hype of Worlds is watching group stage, and then obviously you get your dessert with playoffs.
Yes.
But like the main course for me is always groups. So I'm happy with the current setup, even though I understand why people want different.
Okay. I think a lot of different perspectives on this. I'll go to the next question from Philip at Mr. German Piano. He asked 3 questions. We're going to be taking one. His first question is, what is a pick that people are sleeping on? 819 just came out. Is there any pick that you guys think is going to go crazy at Worlds?
I honestly haven't looked at the patch. I just got off of regional qualifiers. I don't look at a patch until it's going to go live. I just started my Worlds prep because I basically got off of regional qualifiers, spent 2 days in Shanghai, had to pack up my entire life, and then fly to Berlin.
Is there any pick from the LPL that you saw being utilized a lot that you think is not utilized elsewhere internationally that you think could just show up at Worlds?
I don't know if I would frame it like that. I would say that how the LPL plays Ryze and Zoe, I think is at a very vastly different threat level than how the rest of the world, while those champions still have high priority internationally, I think that there's a very big difference in giving RNG Ryze versus any other team Ryze.
To be fair, if you look at least at EU, Zoe's presence went down a ton over the repeated series of nerfs she saw. So Zoe being a go-to pick in the post-nerf world is kind of like a champion that I don't think, like maybe we expect to see it, of course, because LPL and LCK maybe are a little bit more about utilizing that champion, but we just didn't see it very much from Europe at all.
I mean, it got nerfed heavily, so the upside of picking Zoe obviously wasn't as great for most players. We saw a little bit. Niski still picked it a few times, but pick-wise, I think Vayne
will get played.
Now, obviously, Wei Xiao also kind of said the same on Reddit, but even before that, it kind of felt like more and more AD carries and one mid laner. Felt like Vayne could actually be a thing. Especially, I think the build path is pretty decent for her.
You're talking about the Blade of the Ring King Gwinsu's build?
Yeah, like as an example, right? I think it's a pretty good build path. I'm also thinking Rumble is one of those picks where if we start getting more early team fighting with a lot of the teams, could be huge.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of people were trying to play Rumble into Urgot.
They already tried to play it, yeah.
Why do you guys not play Aatrox Urgot? It's considered a skill matchup.
Aatrox is still banned a decent amount, and Rumble was banned once or twice in our playoffs, I think alongside or preemptively when people wanted to threaten an Urgot pick. That's how I saw it. But we never actually got to see Urgot Rumble as a matchup. And I don't think we ever got Aatrox Urgot either.
So Lee Sin with Dark Harvest could also start seeing a lot more play during Worlds.
How do you guys feel about Pyke? Red's already like on the Pyke hype train. He's getting buffed again. Europe was
He's already
playing.
Good. Pyke was already good. He didn't need buffs for sure. The thing about Pyke is he's very risky. If you're behind, you're like so useless.
He's a win more champion.
He's definitely, I like that word. He's definitely a win more champion. But I think, again, for a lot of teams who want to play early game, Pyke is going to be a great choice. I don't necessarily think RNG needs to play Pyke too much, but they could.
I actually think a really big issue that we saw in the LPL with Pyke is that Invictus Gaming did play Pyke pretty significantly, or at least it would come out. But
Fix the style.
It would massively hinder their vision count, and their warding would just be awful because Pyke's nature of playstyle. And this could also just be a commentary on Balan, the support for IG. But if that champion comes out, from what I've seen in the LPL, teams tend not to have as many wards because Pyke's not really caring about warding. He's more caring about hunting. At least that's our support's mentality there. So I would be curious to see if that trend would continue, that if the LPL teams played Pyke, if it would then impact their vision game more and it turns into a game about picks or a game about different hard engage.
Yeah. I also just wonder about other top lane carries.
Yeah,
some of them got buffed, obviously, at 8-19.
The question was how big are the Darius buffs? We definitely got a lot of people asking about the carries. Fiora got buffed as well.
Yeah, and Darius was played a lot top lane, obviously, when he was overtuned.
Fiora got buffed?
Fiora got a buff as well.
IG are winning worlds.
I mean, the buff is it's a fine buff, but it's
not hugely significant. Vital procs.
It's vital procs, right? But the Darius one, when people blind pick Mundo Darius was a choice against him back when these two guys were obviously big meta picks. And if you can get him into a good matchup, especially against a tank, like, he is a bully for sure. And he does always have that, like, snowball teamfight potential. So I really hope we get a good mix of tanks and carry stuff. And I'm very happy that it wasn't direct, like, oh, here's all these tank nerfs just happening. It was more like, let's buff some of the other carries that are always high risk to play, because it gives more incentive to try them. So I think we could see a world where a lot more carry tops are being used, which would then really change up from what in the end became, here's Cho'Gath and Maokai, yay! At least in Europe.
I loved Tank Roulette. That was my favorite. Just spin around, which tank you get. I'm playing Scion this game. I'm playing Maokai. It was a good time.
So I hope we get more carries, at least from the European teams.
Yeah.
I think the last question we have for today is from Zodi at Zodi44, maybe Zodi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one quite correctly. We'll
Cute
find
name.
And a cute little robot cardboard avatar.
Aww.
Can't tell what that's from. Probably from something I should know. During regular season, Fnatic runs a 6-man roster, Cloud9 running a 7-man roster, and Africa Freaks are running a 10-man. Should Worlds start allowing teams to field a bigger roster?
Yes, but it has to be, the decision needs to be made at the start of the year.
Yep.
Which was probably the big issue, I guess.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I think a lot, because we talked about this a little bit behind the scenes, and the thing is like, if you did it right before Worlds, like, teams don't have a time to prepare. But if everyone knows at the start of the year that that's the way it's going to be, then they'll actually prep and can utilize.
Do you think you cap it at 10-man?
You probably have to cap it somewhere.
I think you just go up one at a time and you see, because I think if you just go up to like 10, like.
But isn't for the health of the because theoretically then you have a sub in every single position, and so when you say that the health of the regions and the teams is that then you can run in-house scrims, everyone's constantly being pushed forward. You're employing more people and creating job stability because there's now more positions.
Sure. I mean, I guess
I think it's a huge effect if you assume that every team can afford internally to run 10-man. I think it's just a big economic change for League of Legends, right? That I don't know the impact of. And maybe that would just be purely positive.
I mean, NA has 10-man rosters already, right?
Sure, with the Academy Leagues.
So, because I think if you take it, I can get it from a event planning point of view. It's going to be a lot harder because you need twice, almost twice the amount of like rooms and visas and all that kind of stuff. But like ideally, if you should be able to field a 10-man roster, if you have done the job and the work as an organization to get 10 players that all end up benefiting each other, working well, scrimming each other, whatever it is, and you feel that the strongest thing you can do as a team is send 10 players, you should be able to do that. If we ignore everything around planning. Because if I can only send 6 because I've only cared about getting 6 players, I mean, that's kind of my problem, right? Or maybe I just feel like 10 will hurt. Because I think for some teams, 10-man rosters do not work where you constantly have to do stuff together.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we're right now just kind of in a position where we're punishing certain teams and other teams are just frankly non-affected. Because I think RNG, they have to pick between Karsa MLXG or Zatai and Let Me.
Yeah, and that really sucks, right?
Yeah.
So Cloud9 can't bring 7 players. But I think, again, and I saw one of the rioters who works with the rules jump in that Reddit thread. There was it was like a month ago about how unfair it was that you couldn't bring 7 players. And then there was where Clement apparently had misspoken or something. He said you could bring 7 players.
I think he was talking about the emergency if someone got sick.
Yeah. And then people were like, oh my God, you can do it now. What's going on? And he jumped in and he said, listen, this could change, but it will happen at the start of the year and not randomly a month before Worlds. Yeah. Because teams, when they're doing all the off-season stuff, needs obviously a chance to build what kind of roster it is. And
it's just it's unfair for every team.
Yeah.
Because you plan for the year at the start of the year.
Could happen in the future. We don't know yet. I hope it gets increased. I would be very surprised if it didn't, just based on how more teams are finding bigger rosters.
I don't know. Once again, I'm in no way involved with that kind of decision making. But I think for me, I would love to see like a 7 or an 8 and then eventually get to a 10. Maybe 10 right off the bat is the right choice. I don't know. I just don't have enough information, especially from a team perspective.
Because if you take it from a sports point of view, like you can have a 30-man roster, but you can only submit 11 starters in a football game and 7 subs, I believe it is, for like a Premier League game. But you can still have 30 players. You just ahead of time need to submit who is going. So you can say, we have a 10-man roster. We can bring all 10, but we can only submit 7 of them for this best of 5, and you can do it that way if you want to try and minimize the amount of, craziness that can happen. Because then there's still a reason to bring 10 for you.
When China used to have, because they used to have 3 leagues, the LPL, the LPPL, and the LSPL. And the LSPL was the league that was actually trying to promote into the LPL back when that was a thing. And then the LPPL was effectively the Academy League. And so the difference of why, because the players have a question, why would you ever go into an Academy League that isn't broadcast, that doesn't have any chance at promoting an organization in, versus going into the LSPL, having, tough competition that has an end goal of going to the LPL? It's because if you were on Starhorn Royal Club and you played in the LPPL, as long as there was a date that said we want to sub out these players, you would go into the LPL. So you had the prospect of playing in the professional league at the very top if you went this league, and it was simply just to keep your academy team warm and then start scrimming and trying different things out on a competitive stage.
Yeah. Okay, so that's going to do it for us from Twitter questions. Thank you guys for talking to me about a lot about EU and LPL, of course, as EU and LPL experts are here.
Who's winning Worlds?
Let's get it. Yeah, let's go one time through. A good way to close it out. Who wins Worlds? Frosco.
I would say RNG or KT.
I don't like this or business.
Well, because if you say RNG, they'd be like, 100%, then it will turn into overbuy. I could explain why RNG are a bad
won
team.
everything this year. You're definitely not overhyping.
You don't need to back anything.
I will say this though, because it's very possible that you come in and you have a shit tournament. Like we've seen that. We saw TPA. They came in and they had the tournament of their lives, and they took season 2 and they went down in glory. And you don't take away from that aspect. Like that was a huge, incredible moment in League of Legends. But I do think that it is really skewed right now because it's the LPL and just this exposure to Western audience, that if you win 99% of everything that you're invited to, and then you drop a single, like let's say that the meta is just for whatever reason for RNG, and then they lose that tournament.
Only. Let me. It's like and
then the whole history is just rewritten. Like, that garbage team, overhyped, never gonna make it. Don't do that. It's fine. If RNG don't win, they don't win, but they should be celebrated for winning 99% of the year. They've won everything. That's nuts. Uzi won the 1v1 All-Star tournament.
Yeah. I think RNG is a safe bet.
I'm going KT.
You're going KT.
The rebel.
Mata's done it before in Korea against Uzi. He will do it again.
So I think here's something that's very interesting. I think Mata's champion pool right now looks I don't want to say suspect.
Well, Tom Kench being nerfed is really bad for him. So that's an issue.
I love that you guys have more to say. I'm going to cap it there, though, because we've been going on 1 hour and 40 minutes. We are quickly approaching. There is more to be said.
Are we not calling him Papa Smithy soon to get his opinion?
I've actually got him on Skype.
This is how I got you here, but I didn't tell you Papa Smithy's not coming.
He didn't fly in for 1 day and fly back?
He didn't want to. We didn't even give him the opportunity because we thought it would be, quite frankly, disrespectful of his.
We could have paid him in Twitter followers. So sad.
Well, we're not going to touch that one. All right. This has been episode 13 of Euphoria. Once again, big warm welcome to the EULCS 2019 broadcast team for Froskurinn. This will be her final tournament as the LPL representative coming into Worlds 2018. She's been given a Mad Team slip. Thank you for listening.
You didn't get to show them my socks.
Oh, she also has pizza socks. What up?
Oh, I have interesting socks too.
What are they?
Do they say EU greater than NA?
It's like a sports thingy.
All right.
I think it might be an Australian
the Comparison
team.
Power Hour. You can tune into that
lot.
podcast during the off season while we ramp up for season 3 of Euphoria. But this has been the final episode of season 2. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and we'll see you guys when the next season starts.